our Friends channel, and we have Battin, our Honorable MP, once again with us. We have a lot of questions on the hot topic which is going on this time, and the hot topic is about the extension of emergency. So, before we start, first of all, thank you so much, Brad, for giving us your time. And if we start with the emergency, because now, according to the premium of our daily end use, we is planning to extend the state emergency further for 12 months. What emergency exactly means for Victorians?
Okay. The state of emergency effectively gives power for the government to impose things like the stay-at-home orders, wearing of the mask, closing businesses, stopping students going to school. So it's a very powerful tool, and it's a tool that the government has used for the last 6 months. What they've put in place, or want to put in place going through the parliament, is to extend that period for another 12 months. Now, it's been in place for 6 months, and the rules are always been in this place and just been there, that after 6 months, if you need to, you go back to parliament and you try and reapply for another 6 months effectively. Giving the government 12 months, the issue we have is the parliament is the oversight of the government. It is our job in opposition and the crossbenchers to question the government and ensure that they're delivering on behalf of Victorians, number one, for their safety, which is very, very important, but also to protect our democracy. Daniel Andrews has proven that he is willing to close Parliament, and he's done it for a long period of time already. This would give him the power to close Parliament for another 12 months.
Okay, so if we're talking only about the safety, let's talk about safety first and then we will come on to Parliament. If we're just talking about the safety, because coronavirus, if we see, we are already in stage 4. Coronavirus cases are going down. Do you think extending to 12 months is actually valid period?
No, I don't think it's valid or necessary at all. I think what the government's trying to do is extend it too far. What we believe is it should be extended for a month, and then each month it goes back to Parliament, and if it's required, it goes for another month. When we're talking about the democracy, I know you said about Parliament later on, but you're talking about people's freedom though. How many people do you know, how many people that watch your show you can speak to that have lost their jobs or their businesses are struggling or the students need to get back to school? These are all valid and important points. Or more importantly, I've spoken to so many people recently who are single, who aren't working, and they've got no connection with anybody. And that's a really, really big impact on them. We're saying to the government, you can't continue like this. You have to have in place so it's monitored every month, and that way that we know if it does get extended, if it goes for 12 months because it's needed, so be it. But it needs oversight every month, because your rights, your liberties, the reason many people move to Australia are being taken away by the powers of what's been put in the hands of Daniel Andrews.
If we are only talking about Daniel, what do you think, according to him, what he was thinking when he actually mentioned this statement, why he actually wants to go ahead for 12 months?
Yeah, he's mentioned he wants to go forward for a 12-month period as an insurance policy. People's lives aren't an insurance policy. People's freedoms are not an insurance policy. The reason I got into Parliament was because we're in the best state, and if not the best country in the world, where we actually have a democracy where people decide on who they put in there. The powers this will give Daniel Andrews is to close down the Parliament and to close down that vote of people. I have a right to be in Parliament. I was elected by my people in this area to represent them and be their voice. Now, as I said to you just off air before, I would have had 1,000 emails in the last 48 hours of concerned people worried about their freedom. And they want to make sure that they understand we have to have conditions in place. They understand we have to have some facility where people do have to stay home, where they have to wear masks for a period of time. What they don't understand is they don't understand why it needs to go for 12 months effective from the 13th of September. They want an oversight to ensure that no government, Liberal, Labor, Greens, has the power to stop Parliament and stop the scrutiny of what they are doing.
Now, if we're talking about small businesses, the main thing is small businesses are already under very stress because they are shut for last 7 months now. And now moving forward, if the emergency will come into place for another 12 months, what will be the impact on small businesses?
Many of these small businesses just won't reopen. And I've spoken to too many that are willing to hand back the keys on their business now. And the beauty salons that have already been closed the entire time, they're struggling. The gyms who only opened for a very short period of time have promised their clients, many of them, they're actually giving them refunds on the fund they've already paid for the year when you pay your membership fee. They're giving refunds or reductions. This is just killing off small business. At the end of the day, Daniel Andrews will turn around and brag that he wants small business to help the recovery of the economy. Well, the first thing you've got to do is support them now, and that's the sole traders and the small businesses. There's more than 600,000 small businesses in Victoria registered. Let me assure you, there will be a lot less by the time Daniel Andrews is finished with this. I am genuinely concerned about employment. I'm worried about what will happen with the economy. I get health. I understand health. But if you watch the report yesterday, we've seen suicides increase with Tobin Brothers coming out admitting just one of their facilities had 9 people who had taken their lives in one week period. That's a scary figure, and that is something that I think will affect us if we don't get small businesses back out and working. And they want to. They want to go back in there. They want to get their staff back in. Staff in a small business.
If we are just talking about not only small businesses, but the mental stress as well. The mental stress, the suicide cases are going up. I know government has given helpline numbers, but do you think that all people are using it? And if the emergency will extend to the higher, to the extended period, maybe of 12 months or 6 months, do you think that the facilities government has given are sufficient? Or if not, then what promises government is giving us that to assure that people are actually safe where they are now?
Yeah. The first part of that is around the call line. So you've got Beyond Blue, you've got many of those other numbers that you can call to get help. They do an amazing job, but they'll also admit that it's very, very difficult to get in contact with everyone. And there's a lot of people that are home, as I've said, by themselves. They don't have that support. So they don't know who to call. And I'm sending a letter around my electorate, which should go out in the first week of September. And it's just to ensure that people have all the contact details of who you can call to get help. That's all it's about. It's actually called COVID positive, but it's about the positive stories. We're seeing too many negative stories when we're talking about small businesses. But the thing is, that's all. If you're working in those businesses and the risk is you could lose your home, I understand that's all you're feeling is negative.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much, Brad. Because at the moment, everybody is divided into two. Because at the moment, I agree that some people they are asking to extend the emergency to 12 months because they are worried that if they will go out, then this coronavirus can, or second or third wave or fourth wave can come again. But at the same moment, small businesses especially, they are very, very worried because if that will happen, these businesses will remain shut. But just a quick question that in case if that emergency will extend, do you think that small businesses or our lives can come to the normal still? Or it is just a legislation kind of thing?
The legislation, either way, at the moment, the government has the power to return small businesses when they'd like. They can do that whenever they like. What we're saying, though, is we don't say tomorrow, let everybody go back to normal, because we know that there'll be a third wave if you do that, and that would be just irresponsible. What we say, though, is we have to have a plan to work to how we can get those small businesses back out there as quick as we can. At the moment, we've only got cafes and restaurants. We try our hardest to shop at as many of the local shops as we can. I've probably put on weight for it because I've eaten more takeaway than I've had in a long time to try and support the businesses that are open. But those businesses that are open, they will tell you this 6-week period of lockdown compared to the first period of lockdown, their businesses are a tenth of what they were. Lanterns in Berwick, which is a Vietnamese restaurant, would be half. The coffee shops in Beaconsfield I go to would be a quarter of what they were doing in the last one, which was already down. These businesses need something to give them some motivation to keep going. And the only way that can happen is if we have a sensible return to some normality by keeping social distancing, by keeping masks, and by saying to people, you can go out and get a coffee. You can go and get some takeaway, and it's not just restricted to the one time out of the house a day. And I'm hoping that is sooner rather than later, because it's the only way we'll see these small businesses come back.
Thank you so much, Brad. And I think we got most of the answers. We'll see how legislation work, and will see how, as an opposition, how you can raise the voice for people who actually do not want to go, do not want to see that emergency to extend to that level. So hopefully that will be in the favor of our nation and for us as well. So thank you so much.
We'll find out very shortly in Parliament.
ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਟੈਕਸ ਦੀ ਸਹੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ MSS ਟੈਕਸ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਦੇ ਰਜਿਸਟਰਡ ਟੈਕਸ ਏਜੰਟ ਮਨਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ। MSS ਟੈਕਸ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਾਈਡ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵਧੀਆ ਅਤੇ ਅਫੋਰਡੇਬਲ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਇਨਕਮ ਟੈਕਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਪਰੇਸ਼ਨ। ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰੋ MSS ਟੈਕਸ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਦੇ ਆਫਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ। MSS ਟੈਕਸ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਦੇ ਆਫਿਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਹੂਲਤ ਲਈ ਨੋਬਲ ਪਾਰਕ, ਮੋਰਡੀਆਲੋਕ ਅਤੇ ਐਪਿੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਥਿਤ ਹਨ। ਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ 0431457638